The year 2017 was an impacting year for the Caribbean and beyond. Irma, a Category 5 hurricane, struck Puerto Rico on September 7th and continued its path through the Atlantic Ocean towards Florida. On September 20th, Puerto Rico was hit by Maria, a strong Category 4 hurricane entering from Chabucoa. Maria crossed the island with hurricane-force winds that covered 30 miles from the center and tropical storm-force winds extending 125 miles. The island of Puerto Rico measures about 110 miles long by 40 miles wide, from south to east and north to west. These events left a path of destruction in Puerto Rico that will probably take years to recover from. Maria took about 36 hours from the beginning until it left Puerto Rico. About 37.9 inches of rain were recorded by the National Weather Service. These caused creeks and rivers to grow in such a way that they came out of its paths and flooded most of the valleys. The sea surge was expected to increase from 6 to 9 feet above sea level. This created a real catastrophe. In the mountains of Puerto Rico, named La Cordillera Central, because it goes from east to west of the whole island, the power of the wind, together with the water, created a bigger disaster. The power grid that was already unstable was destroyed. The water system was also affected, and when it was restored, became unsafe to drink. My hometown of Anasco is located in a valley by the sea, on the west side of Puerto Rico. Most of the town was covered with water at different levels. When the water receded, many lost all their belongings and had to take them out of their homes because they were wet and in many cases filled with mud. They had to do an intensive cleaning, a process that lasted in many cases months. There was debris everywhere. Many homes with wood and zinc roofs lost them. The rains continued to fall after the hurricane, and many of these people had to live in their homes with only one room covered by blue tarps. To this day, many of them still are. Some that were luckier were able to move with family or friends. Roads were partially or completely destroyed. In the mountains, there were landslides. There was a section of Anasco where some families were uncommunicated for about 15 days. They had no food and survived with coconut and coconut water. Everything stopped. School, businesses, and government were closed. When stores started to open, everything went out fast, especially food. When I visited the local supermarket, almost a month after, most of the shelves were still empty, especially the area of the refrigeration, since they still didn't have electricity. But there is especially one thing that I am proud of my fellow Puerto Ricans: their spirit of survival. In the town of Anasco, most of the people immediately mobilized and started to clean their areas together with the local government agencies. The mayor of Anasco, Jorge Esteves, a schoolmate for 12 years and who lost everything in his home due to flood, moved to the city hall and started the process of cleaning and recuperation of the town. Days after the disaster, there was a group of retired veterans that arrived from different places in the contiguous United States to work as volunteers. They decided to go to the west side of the island because that is where they saw the most significant damage. They found a refuge in the Primera Iglesia Presbyteriana de Anasco. Ada Liz, the church administrator, together with the session, offered them the pastoral house, which has been empty for some time. There they slept in army cots for their whole stay. For 2 months, they worked tirelessly every day to provide help to the entire town and its neighborhoods. They worked together with the church in providing food, water, and first necessity items to the people. Most of the items were donations that the church received from individuals and agencies alike. Teaching elders, Ada Liz, the church administrator, the Red Cross, FEMA, Health for Puerto Rico, the State of New York Police Department, and many other groups, companies, and individuals alike donated of their time and their resources to help my hometown of Anasco and all the people of Puerto Rico. Doctors, nurses, and medical providers donated their time and their resources to provide care for those who were in need of medical care. They reached out to those who lived in the mountains or hard-to-reach places, and that for different reasons were not able to travel for treatment. The Mennonites and the Amish communities, with their non-profit organization, Christian Aid Ministries, traveled to Puerto Rico and started to identify people who have lost their homes and offered to build houses at no cost to the owners. In Anasco, 6 families were identified and they started to build their homes. In one community, they saw that 3 other homes had lost their roofs and they also rebuilt them. I had the blessing to visit 2 of the places they were working at. A single gentleman who lost everything, and 2 elderly brothers who had to build a temporary shed so they will have a place to live and protect themselves from the weather while they waited for their home to be built. They were very happy for all the blessings they received from Christian Aid Ministries, the volunteer veterans, and the Primera Iglesia Presbyteriana de Anasco, who provided food, medical treatment, and shelter for them. The Primera Iglesia Presbyteriana de Anasco, with the help of the volunteer veterans, was able to build a food pantry to continue to provide food and articles of first necessity to people in need, including their pets. There's still a lot to finish the recovery of Puerto Rico. But before I returned from my trip, I was able to see how the island has already started to recuperate. The trees were already green. The landscapes looked beautiful again. The church in Anasco continued to prepare for the future and to be able to provide gifts for the children during the Christmas season 2017. I traveled back to Orlando, Florida, knowing that I was able to work as volunteer together with a group of people who were happy to serve others without expecting nothing in return. Return home taking with me many moments that I will cherish in my heart for years to come. Blessed to know that through the struggles, the lack of means of communication, electricity, water, and transportation, we were one serving in Christ.